Breaking news this evening, a Minnesota corrections officer has been killed by an inmate in prison for murder.
Our Jennifer Mayerle has been gathering some details. She joins us now. So, Jen, what do we know?
Well, here's what we've learned. An inmate attacked veteran officer Joseph Gromm around 1:30 this afternoon. It happened inside the Stillwater prison. This is a live look from Sky 4. We're told the corrections officer was rushed to Regents Hospital, where the Department of Corrections reports he was later pronounced dead. Officer Gromm has been with the Department of Corrections for 16 years. The department said, quote, Joseph gave the ultimate sacrifice while working to protect the citizens of Minnesota. There have been numerous attacks on officers at Minnesota prisons this year, including Stillwater. When we last looked at attacks in Stillwater in late March, offenders had attacked 17 officers there. Now, Stillwater is the state's largest closed security prison for male felons. There are approximately 1,600 inmates there. Of course, we are looking to get more information about what exactly happened today and to learn more about Corrections Officer Joseph Gromm, who was the officer who was killed today. There is a press conference happening any minute right now at the Department of Corrections. Let's go to it now.
In our institution at Stillwater. Let's first talk about that officer because he's a fine man. Joseph B. Gromm, G-O-M-M. Just yesterday was his 16th year as a corrections officer. He is survived by, we believe, 2 family members who are responded to Regents Hospital where Officer Gromm expired. The corrections family is reeling from this incident. We are not accustomed to losing staff. Officer Gromm was a fine man doing honorable work in our industry location where the incident occurred early this afternoon. The purpose of this conference is to advise the public of our tragedy. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension has just arrived at the scene, and this is a very fresh investigation that will obviously lead to very serious charges. All of these incidents that involve violence on staff at a serious level are referred to the county attorneys in the location of those prisons. We are unable at this time to specifically name the offender since this is such a fresh investigation. I just got off the line with the officer in charge with the BCA. They have yet to investigate who we believe is the lone perpetrator, and until that interview is completed, until the investigation matures, we aren't going to be able to give you a lot of details of this offender. I can tell you that at Stillwater State Prison we have 1,616 offenders. 527 of those offenders are homicide, doing sentences for homicide. It is a very large institution. We sometimes call Stillwater our flagship institution. Day in and day out, our staff are doing very incredible work. We have an active industry program at Stillwater. We have an active education program. And we have teachers, we have psychologists, we have all kinds of staff engaged in that work at Stillwater. The characteristics of most of those offenders, the averages that we have for previous offenses is pretty significant. In our system, those offenders on an average have 3 prior felonies and 10 prior misdemeanor, gross misdemeanor histories. Those are the averages. Unfortunately, we also have a significant population of mentally ill offenders, people with significant histories of chemical abuse and dependency, and erratic behavior is not uncommon. Within our system, we have assaults that occur regularly, as do other systems in the country. There are assaults of offenders on offenders. We have assaults on staff. But really, this loss of Officer Gromm is at a level that we have not seen before. We are supporting staff right now. We have counselors on the scene. We have clergy on the scene. We have staff with family at the hospital. And we are visiting emotions that we have not visited before. The time today, I hope, can be focused on the family and their loss. I hope we can focus our efforts on the staff and their feelings, because really that is our priority at this time. I think some of you folks are going to be frustrated that we can't provide you with more today. But I will assure you, as the investigation matures, that we will keep you informed. And I hope you can respect the loss that we are feeling today.
You are listening to a live press conference from the Minnesota Department of Corrections headquarters in St. Paul. Today, Corrections Officer Joseph Gromm, 16 years on the job, was killed in Stillwater, and we found out, Jen, it was a lone attacker. But in terms of context, and not because we don't have a lot of facts, you've been through some of our Minnesota prisons before.
I have. I went to a nearby prison, Oak Park Heights, which is actually a level 5 maximum security prison, which is a higher level security prison than Stillwater. But since I've been there and over the course of this spring, Frank, I have heard from family members who have been concerned about the safety of their loved ones who are working inside the prisons. There were a string of attacks at both Oak Park Heights and Stillwater around in March, and have been concerned about this. And we've been asking questions about it and received information about how many attacks have been there. In Stillwater at that time, there have been 17 attacks on officers, only one with what they believed was a weapon at that time. We're waiting for updated information on that, but clearly today is a difficult day for the Department of Corrections, for all those who are working there, and for everyone who's learning about this now today.
And we don't know if there was a weapon used in this, but as he reiterated your point, there are a number of assaults in these prisons. They're tough places.
Yep, they said these happen regularly, is what he said, and that is assaults on offenders, on offender as well as on guards. But he did say these are tough conditions in there, and this is something that they deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your insight. We'll continue to follow things, so we appreciate it. Stay with us, everyone. We'll have the very latest information.